not over here. Other side.
Oh, you mean this side?
Yes.
I can sit down on this.
Yes, you can sit on my tire. See, you can teach your daughter how to work on a vehicle. Alright, so as we gloop it up, just keep adding to it as it gets that little mount. Try to pay attention to make sure you get all of them. You can never have you can have too much grease. I was about to say you can never have too much grease. You can have too much grease. But you want to make sure that things are properly greased and lubed up. It's very essential to the mechanics of the vehicle. What, sweetheart? I know. I miss her too. So we gloop and we gloop and we gloop, and then once we have matched it all up, which we are almost at that point, take the excess off, and I like to clean it up. Someone's yelling into the camera, no, don't do that. Keep it a big mess because it forms this purpose. Well, for me, this is how I do it. And what is the phrase for the video? I am not a professional mechanic. I am a mom that works on her vehicles. Alright, so we have this guy. I'm going to find a semi-non-sturdy spot for it to rest. And then I'm going to match the appropriate cup to it. So I have all these parts sitting out here, so. I'll move up the cup too. This is the cup. This is what the bearing sits in. The bearing is the thing that I was just putting stuff on. It just fell off of this. Alright, and then I do have my seal right here.
Are you gonna grease it up?
Because we want to keep stuff out of here. We want to make sure that things are properly lubricated.
So a long time ago, you did not grease it?
No. Mommy actually had not done anything with this Jeep with the bearings or anything. I used to just drive it the way that it was. And I did not know that my bearings, at least on one side, were completely shot. The other side was gooey. I'm going to pump you guys over here. Yeah, I got it, baby. I got it. And you're going to lube all this up. And you're going to try to force some of it in here to the... Yes, all of this needs grease. And I'm kind of forcing some in between the spindle assembly and this guy because he needs it.
Why did you take the wheel off?
Because the bearings are messed up. I originally took all of this apart, not expecting to have to do this. I was trying to change, it is my wheel, it's a tire and my rim. So I was originally starting this process because I wanted to change out the rotor. I did not know at that point that the rotor and the hub were together. They're two separate parts, and I can order those online and have them sent out. But because when I went to AutoZone, I said, hey, I need a rotor. I need rotors for 1980 CJ7. And they said, okay, here's a rotor. So it came to me like a rotor off of the Trailblazer or the Ram. And then when I started taking stuff apart, I realized that all of this was one. And then as I started tearing it down, because I wanted to replace the rotor, then found out that the hub and the rotor were stuck together. Two separate parts that I can order online, but I'm looking at $150 for each side to do that, plus weeks of waiting. So my rotors aren't totally gone. They're okay, they're fine. This is not going to be my daily driver, so at some point I will be changing all of this out again and seeing how everything works with the bearings. but that's how we got to the point that we're at right now. So I'm gonna put the seal on here. That goes first.
Oh, I did not know that.
Snug it up. Actually,
Why is it snug it up?
check it against this guy. Yep. So we snug all this up. And you have to make sure that you're doing it where it's perfectly in line, because if it's crooked, it's not going to go. The other side worked really, really well. This side is giving me some issues. I didn't have the gloves on, it'd be a lot easier. I might just use the cup to put it where I want it to go. And I know the orientation because I'm referring to my Haynes manual. Alright, so I think that's as good as we're going to go for right there. This is the bearing cup. So this is actually going to be going inside of there. So I'm going to put this to the side. Grab my rotor, making sure not to get any grease. Fist bump you guys again. Making sure not to get any grease where it doesn't need to go. Okay, I say that and then I just get a big area of it on there. So I'm trying to show you guys. Move all this up because the cup's going to go in there.
Why are you putting too much space?
Well, because I had to press this bearing in place. So the seal goes first, then the bearing, and then the bearing cup. And just because I like checking myself, I'm going to grab my cup, I'm going to put it in there on the bearing directionally to make sure it's going to fit. And then I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to press this bearing. So I will return once this is pressed. Alright, so we were able to get the bearing on there. I got the bearing cups pressed into the hub, and I was actually able to get that pesky caliper portion off once I removed the arm, and then was able to actually get a socket on it, so that was awesome. So with that being said, here, I'm gonna put you over here. Voila. I've already lubed all this up. You guys are on there. The bearing was giving me a little bit of an issue to get into its proper place, so I actually gave it a couple taps and then it went in there perfect with the seal. So the next step is to get your caliper hub assembly and make it where everybody fits nice like that. And that's just about perfect. Okay, let's scratch that. That is perfect. We don't do just about perfect. It's perfect. It works. Alright, so we got that guy in there. We have not pre-lubed up our other bearing. So, this is going to end up, oh, well, it might actually stay. I know you got a good fit. So I'm going to get some gloves on, and we will lube up the other bearing, pop that in there, and then, actually, I'm going to go ahead and open up our new clips. We have washers. You notice they've got this little divot, and that actually will fit into part of this shaft. Same right here. And then it did come with one nut. We actually have to steal one from the old set, which is fine. I mean, if push came to shove, we could reuse these guys anyways. None of them were in bad shape. It was the bearings that were all messed up. So I'm going to clean this up really quick before I get greased up hands and just wiping it off because it's got all that cruddy stuff all over it. I'm going to ask my daughter if she'll get me a can of the brake cleaner because I killed this one. Will you grab Mommy another one of these that feels heavy?
Yes.
Thank you. It should be in the bag over there underneath the Jeep. It's quality bonding time. She's my handy dandy assistant. That way I can just clear off all the excess right now. Yep.
Yes.
Yes, baby doll. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, so we have most of the debris off of there. Thank you, sweetheart. Hopefully that music isn't too loud. She requested music. She likes being out here when I'm working on stuff, and she likes listening to music. All right, so we got that guy cleared off. We'll set him on the paper towel so he can dry, and then of course I've already misplaced my, oh there they are, they're on the book, my clips. Alright, so I will return with gloves and we will lube up this bearing. Actually, I'm gonna do, since this video is taking forever, I'm gonna go ahead and lube everything up. I'm gonna grease the bearing because I already showed you guys how to do that. And then I'll grease up the bearing, and then I will put you guys back on for putting everything back together again. Ah! I had to use my nose to put you guys back on because with the grease on my gloves it wouldn't work. So, alright, so anyways, looking at my handy dandy book, we've got the seal, the bearing cup, the hub and rotor. We have the bearing cup already in there, and so now we put in our bearing. This one, because the other one is already in there. Let me make sure he's snug up. Get rid of these gloves. So we are almost done, finally. I have to paint my caliper. My new caliper is painted. The caliper arm I just got off recently, so I actually have to paint that. So we're only doing the rotor and stuff right now, and then I still gotta sand and paint and everything, the tire rim and all that. Yes, it's gonna get painted. I know it's kind of cheesy, but it works. All right, so after the bearing, we have our tapped washer. Getting this guy in first. I would feel around for the groove that's supposed to be in here. There it is. You see how it nicely just, oh, you guys can't see. So that tab nicely fits right in there. That extra bit fits right into that little cubby spot. It's exactly where he's supposed to go. And then we have our wheel bearing nut right here. And we'll start him off. Okay, and now I need my handy dandy, had to wait 2 weeks for it because it is not something that any of the auto parts stores carry. It is I mean, they carry it for other vehicles, but they don't carry it for this one anymore. He's, again, 40 years old. I got all dirty. But this is your bearing nut socket. So it's really large. What we're going to do is we're going to stick it in there. And yeah. Oh, good. We are going to tighten that. I actually just loosened him back up again. Mistakes do happen, guys. I know. Judgmental eyes. So I tighten it pretty significantly just to make sure that everything is in place. This is actually going to compress that bearing that we just put in there. We do want it to be snug. So I get it pretty tight. And then what I'm going to do in a minute, I need to change positions. This is uncomfy. So once it gets all tightened up and everything, then what's going to happen is I'm going to try to move the rotor and see how much resistance I have, and then I'll end up backing it out. Yeah, it's still going. You see, when we first started, there was barely anything there. And as it continues to get on there, it's making it where you can see more and more of the threads. Alright, so it seems to be pretty tight. Actually, I'm going to tighten it just a little bit more than that, because when I did the other side, once I got it tight, it didn't want to move at all. And I still have a lot of mobility, so now I'm going to back it out, because that's where I want it to be. And that's where it should be. Oh, that feels so good. It's smooth and it's perfect. Look at that. Great. Okay, so this one has a little tabby guy too. We're going to pop him in just like we did the other one. Find that little divot. Bam! He's in there. Awesomeness. I like my sound effects, don't you? Alright, and then we're going to put this bearing nut in. La la. And we do the same thing. Tighten it up. I also want to add the commentary. While it is possible to press your own bearings without a press, it's a pain in the butt. Doing it with the press was significantly easier. It was. I have to admit, it was definitely worth the money. It was. And it's just, you know, it's a little cheap guy, so he wasn't really that expensive. And he worked really well. So that was a good thing. Get a press if you can. Alright, this guy is completely snugged up. He is happy. I am happy. Everybody's happy. So our next step that we're gonna do is I'm going to excessively clean the rotor because it's got gunk and junk and everything else all over it. I'm also going to be sanding the tire and putting that on there. Anybody that's kind of trying to do this, I don't know if I'll actually have somebody that's trying to do this. Maybe this is just an informative thing that's like super long. But anybody else that's trying to do this, guys, it's pretty simple. I mean, it's putting the gasket back on. That's pretty self-explanatory. The gasket sealer, I put that on both sides, so I would do it here, or I'm going to do it here. I'm not going to do this video just for you guys to see this. But, you know, apply your sealer all over here. Put your gasket on, bam. Put your sealer here, or on the paper, whichever is your preference. Squish that guy on there. Wrench down your nuts. Not your nuts, your bolts. And you're good. That's it. It's not really that hard. I mean, it is. In the grand scheme of things, this is a kind of stupid pain in the butt thing. But yeah, that's it. Push tire back on. So this is probably going to be my longest video just because it's very labor intensive. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. And this is, I don't know if I'll post this because it's so long and it's so many different videos all squished up in, that I have to squish up into one. But officially, this is my first mechanical video. I'm going to be doing a lot of other stuff, and so I'll make some shorter videos. They may end up there first, but this is the absolute, I need to get my nails done. This is the absolute first one. So congratulations if you actually sat there and watched the whole thing. And I will see you next time. Bye.